fucking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your almost round 2 recap for this week's 3M Open. Joining me to break it all down, Greg DuCharme is here. Hello, Greg.
Hello, Rick. Happy Friday afternoon. I hope you're having a wonderful week. 3M Open almost underway through 2 rounds, but we saw some good golf, and I think there's a little bit more good golf on the way.
Yeah, so where we're at the moment, we are live. We usually do this right when coverage ends. So coverage is scheduled to end around 7 p.m. Eastern time. They have been in a weather delay for about the last 90 minutes. Now, they are planning on getting back out on the golf course here on Friday evening in about 15 more minutes or so. And then they'll have, based on my incredible knowledge of Google, Greg, about 2 hours and 20 minutes of daylight remaining. My hunch, they will not complete this round, but they will get close.
I think that's right, Rick. And again, this is one of those things you don't know the answer, but you can kind of find it. So I think that's pretty accurate. But they're not going to play 12 holes or 11 holes in 2 hours and 20 minutes. I do expect to see some more birdies fly. This is typically what happens. It looks like that wind is going to lay down after the rain delay, a little bit smoother on the greens as well. So I think you're going to see some really, really nice scoring conditions on the other side, which we'll have to get into tomorrow.
Well, we have a pair of 10 unders in the clubhouse. They went out early. They are done. They are Kevin Streelman and JT Poston. Let's start with Streelman because that's not a name, Greg, we've talked about as much recently, not at all really this season. He entered the week 120th in the FedEx Cup standings. He shot a clean 3 under 68 around TPC Twin Cities on Friday. That goes with his Thursday 64, and all of a sudden Kevin Streelman has himself back in the mix for the first time in my recent memory.
I don't even remember the last time. Quite frankly, it's been a struggle for him. I mean, what is it?
The last time I'm sure he has been in contention way more often than this. The last time I literally remember him in contention did he get into a playoff with DJ like 4 years ago? Or did he just miss out on a playoff with DJ like 4 years ago?
What was it like?
Brendan Todd got into a playoff, and I think Streelman was like second.
I don't even remember that.
Did this happen? Did this exist?
I don't
remember. Maybe you know what? It wasn't a playoff. It was Brendan. They were like tied on the back 9, and Brendan Todd straight sculled one. Do you remember this at all?
Was this in Memphis?
Oh boy.
I remember that Brendan Todd shot. But I think
remember this.
You know what? I do think the point is kind of well made.
Yes, that's the point I'm trying to make is who the heck remembers? Who knows?
Yeah. But a nice round today. 3 birdies, no bogeys. Hit the ball really well. And, during that rain delay, it might actually have been on the coverage. I heard an interview with him, and he talked about making a little change during a little bit of time off, getting his body squared up at address. And it felt really nice for him almost immediately. And it's just speaking to me how important the setup position is, but also how close these guys are on a day-to-day basis. I know there are some players in the field who were kind of waiting for them to get things back. And something like this makes you wonder how close they really are. So we made that little adjustment, and it's worked out because, today and yesterday, really hit the ball really, really nicely. He has been actually pretty good this year with his iron play, which has been the strength. But today he was really good. He hit 16 greens today. Didn't really make very many mistakes. He hit the ball in the fairway. He didn't putt the way that he did yesterday, but fortunately, when you're able to go out and shoot a 64 in the first round, you don't have to, right? This is that, we always talk about this, Rick. Strokes gained is cumulative. And when you can go put something in the bank like that, it goes a long way on future days, and it relieves the pressure of having to make everything that you look at. So he's able to enter this weekend in contention, feeling really good about his golf swing, and another good putting day or two. And he could really like where he sits on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, great assessment there. That event that I was thinking about, the DJ Brendan Todd, Kevin Streelman event, was the 2020 Travelers Championship.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Streelman finished runner-up. That was Todd and DJ were kind of going at it on the back nine there, and that was the last time I remember.
That is quite a tease. The DJ Streelman Todd little mix it up.
Just the old yeah. I mean, those three, put them in the cage, and let's just see who comes out.
Yeah. Well, we all remember how that one turned out. Quite well for DJ.
Yes, as you would probably imagine. JT Poston, back-to-back 66s. I'll tell you what, Poston's name has certainly been in the mix as of late, because he had back-to-back T6 finishes, John Deere Classic, Scottish Open, goes over to the Open Championship, plays okay. Greg makes the cut, finishes T41, comes back to TPC River Highlands with a new sponsor on the cap, and just rocking and rolling, baby.
You know, I was looking at this, some of his recent form before we started today. And what's amazing to me about JT Poston is it seems like every week he gains strokes approaching the green. In fact, this season, this PGA Tour season, it's all but 2. But every time he gains strokes approaching the green, he finishes inside the top 20.
Yeah,
or top 21. It's really impressive stuff, and that's what he's been doing over the last couple of weeks. The Open Championship, he did gain strokes approaching the green. That was one of the 2 where it didn't lead to a top 20 finish. But when JT is feeling it with the Postman, of course, when he's feeling it with the golf swing, he's really dangerous because he is a consistent putter. And it's kind of the reverse model here, where he just needs a good ball striking week and it leads to a good finish. But he's such a consistent putter that he puts together a lot of rounds like he had yesterday, where he gained over 3 strokes putting. And all of a sudden, he starts feeling it with the swing, and these scores start coming out a lot. So I think this is a great golf course for him. It kind of fits the mold of where the Postman has played well, and right now he's in a great spot.
Yeah, he's played. This is the 3rd time he's teed it up here. His first 2 trips to Blaine were 2021 T28, and then last year T11. So yeah, certainly a good spot for him, and he is as of this moment in a share of the co-lead. The one of the guys who can mess this up is Lee Hodges, who is still out on the golf course. Greg, he's played 8 holes. He's 2 under through his 2nd round. He makes up the 3rd man of the trio in at 10 under. So I don't know. I mean, this could go a lot of ways. He could be your overnight leader. He could lose a couple strokes and drop out of this. I think that just at least my assessment of Lee Hodges is this is kind of what you get. You can get, he's popped up, right? He's been kind of a popper as of late. You've gotten a couple of top 12 finishes recently, but he offsets them with a lot of missed cuts. But this is one of those good weeks.
Yeah, he's feeling really, really good right now. And he's made 2 birdies and no bogeys on the card so far today. So I think this is a great opportunity for Lee Hodges. And I know that the scenario, the stakes are completely different. The players are completely different, but in a way it reminds me of what we saw at the Masters in 2021, where Hideki Matsuyama came out on Saturday after a rain delay. And I think Hideki started on 11, if I remember correctly, and went nuts on that back 9 and basically won the tournament in that little stretch. And I don't know if Lee Hodges can win the tournament, but he can really separate himself with, he's got 11 holes remaining. So if he can play those in 5 under par, get really hot in these really scoreable conditions, he could really create some space between he and the other guys at 10 under, and that could make him really hard to catch.
The back 9 is also the easier 9. So he really could take advantage here. Do you remember what Hideki Matsuyama said he did during that 77-minute rain delay at the Masters. What spurred him to one of the greatest runs that we have seen, and then eventually onto a green jacket?
I believe he went in his car and looked at his phone.
That's right. He said, it was like, Hideki, you just went like 7 under in your last 9 holes at Augusta National. You are now in the lead at the Masters. What did you do during that rain delay? He's like, I went in the car and was on my phone the whole time.
It's like exactly what you would do if you were playing like a bucket list course and there's a rain delay.
That is exactly how I spent that 77 minutes.
Right.
But I did not I didn't.
You were sitting on the couch instead of the car, right?
Yeah, we were scrolling the same stuff though. Yeah, I'm sure. So that's the big 3 at 10 under right now. 2 of them in. Obviously, Lee Hodge is still out on the golf course. The 9 unders are pretty interesting here, Greg. We'll point out one because he got done the early wave, and I'll save a couple others for later. But Emiliano Grillo was one of the more popular, like one and done selections for this week. He was somebody who came in with some of the shortest odds we've seen on him for most of the year. He fired a 68 to back up his Thursday 65 and is in at 9 under par, which is 1 shot off the current lead. It's not always pretty. I watched a lot of his stuff on PGA Tour Live. It's not always pretty. He is making more putts, and his results are really coming together right now.
He's very clearly confident. Today's round kind of reminded me of what we talked about with Kevin Streelman, where round 1 is where you do a lot of the damage, and all of a sudden not a whole lot happens today. There wasn't any area of his game that performed particularly well today. He did hit a lot of greens, just like Kevin Streelman, but it wasn't like some of the other guys near the top of the leaderboard here who have kind of gone crazy. This is kind of a basic 68. He hits 15 greens, hits a lot of fairways, which has been really nice, but loses a fraction of a shot approaching the green. It gains less than a shot in every other area. So it wasn't like anything in total really came together, but he played so well and really put everything together. I mean, gained over a shot in every category during yesterday's round. And so yesterday he shoots 65, which was bogey free. And today it's a 68, and it's good enough for 9 under, but that's okay. And again, it may even be a good thing when you head into the weekend, into the final 2 rounds. With his recent performance, his track record here, I believe, is pretty good as well. So this is primo spot for Emiliano Grillo.
Yeah, he's got I think a runner up and a third in the last 3 years here.
Right.
Yeah,
it's pretty darn good. It almost made me. I was looking at him entering the week. How sometimes we talk about this. You talk about this all the time. I know you and Sia do on the DFS show, that like 8K chalk. You just want to watch it. It just always seems like it's a bust. I know he wasn't 8K on DraftKings, but it almost looked too good to be true. I was a little worried about coming back from the Open, and maybe it would be a little too much, and you'd see kind of what we're seeing out of Sepp Straka this week, where you're just exhausted. But it has not been the case.
There is one person in our one and done who has Emiliano Grillo this week. Do you know who it is?
No.
Who do you hope it is?
Kyle.
It's not Kyle. Who do you hope it's not?
Mark.
It's not Mark. So that's good. It's me.
All right.
We'll see.
Good for you.
I'm not
anybody but Mark.
The Mark victory lap on a Friday night usually ends pretty sour. So here's what we also have. We've got 2 big names and 3, if you want to throw in Sepp Straka, who are not going to be around for the weekend. We have to talk about them, and we have a big problem lurking on the leaderboard still with holes to play. We'll cover that, but first we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
When you're the FedEx Cup champion, your name's on this trophy forever.
This is our season-long race. This is the sought-after trophy when we tee it up, the first event of the season that you think about.
3 tournaments with the world's best golfers battling for the tour's toughest trophy to win, the FedEx Cup. The playoffs begin August 12th on CBS.
And we're back. I might have preemptively ejected Sepp Straka from this golf tournament. He's still very live to make the cut. He's got to get a couple more under par here. There is one sizable name that will not be around for the weekend, and it's Justin Thomas. And this is starting to become a bit of a trend here. Greg, this is now 5 of his last 7 missed cuts. He is in the field for next week, the final event before the end of the regular season, to see if he can punch his ticket to the FedEx Cup playoffs. The Friday 71 it was like a 2 pencil day, lots of birdies, couple of doubles. He seemed encouraged after his opening round 69, which was 2 under, but not enough in the right direction here on Friday.
This was exactly what we've seen out of Justin Thomas. And it's exactly what Tony Finau talked about at the beginning of the week, where, he hit some amazing shots and he hit shots that make you feel like he could be number 1 in the world. But then there's at the Open Championship, it was the 9. In this case, it was a 7 on 18. In fact, the 9 was also on the 18th hole at the Open Championship as well. And he made a double at number 4. So he, in those 2 double bogeys, hit 3 balls into the water. And that's a cardinal sin, right? You have to avoid penalty shots. But I do think when you look at this scorecard, there are a lot of positive signs here. The fact that the good shots are still at that upper echelon level. He's still giving himself, and missed a number of birdie chances today as well from very makeable range. So, he could have made 10 birdies today? And instead, it's double bogeys that plague him. So this can be problematic, but I do think it's a sign that he's close. There's just a couple of things. This is something where when confidence suffers a little bit, you get in that position where you're 211 yards out going for the green over water and you come up a few yards short. It seems like that happens more when your confidence is really low. But I think if you're Justin Thomas, you can head into next week knowing, hey, I can hit my wedges close like I used to. I can put the ball in play off the tee, and this is all going to come down to what I do on the greens. I don't know if the new counterbalance putter has been a success. I would say it hasn't been for 1 week. I'm not sure he'll bail on it after just 2 rounds, especially when the 2 errors are with iron in hand.
I'll tell you what, Greg, I believe it was number 10, which was his first hole of the day. He drives it. It's a short par 4, drives it. He's in the right rough, stuffs a wedge to 3.5 feet. He stood over that 3.5 footer for an uncomfortable amount of time. I thought my stream paused. I thought I was buffering. He stood over it for so long, lipped it out, had 4.5 feet for par, made that, but it looked painful. There is obviously so much going through his head in that moment. I do not envy that position one bit.
We see putter changes work so well, so quickly, so often on the PGA Tour. But there's a lot of putter changes that take place, and the ones that we hear about are when they work. And this is a case where it hasn't been lightning in a bottle. So he's trying something new, but those kind of situations are signs that he doesn't have that spark of confidence that it so often gives you. So again, I think there's been an issue with Justin Thomas's putting for a really long time. And now this year, because he's struggling a little bit with his ball striking, it's putting a lot of pressure on the putting. And that's where you start to see it get into his mind, and you start to see him think a little bit more. Because now, well, hey, look, this is a great birdie opportunity at the first, and I need to make this. And I need to make a lot of them coming down. So the hole is shrinking because the pressure is rising. And that's a place Justin Thomas hasn't played a lot of golf from. He has played through his career a lot more in the Scotty Scheffler mindset, where these putts are for birdie. There's plenty of birdie putts coming, and none of them really feel like must makes.
Yeah.
Until you get into the heat of battle on Sunday.
It's interesting. Yeah. It's an interesting way to look at it. But this one doesn't matter if I'm going to have 17 more.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Know that.
Yeah. So obviously the bow on this is that JT entered the week 75th in the FedEx Cup standings. If the tournament ended right now, he'd be 79th, but he's probably going to drop a little bit further than that. We'll see. He might be 80th or worse.
I have him projected as 80th.
Okay. So, we'll see where that ends up, but he's going to need a fairly strong finish at the Wyndham Championship. Greg, I think we were talking before the week started. The amount of points he needed was equivalent to like a 21st place finish or something. Now he gets no points and still has to make up. I mean, it's going to have to be pretty good, I think, for him to make the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to have to be, contention, right? And then you think about not just the playoffs. If he's able to scrap something out here, now he's played the Scottish, the Open, the 3M, the Wyndham. Memphis would be his 5th in a row. Yeah. Albeit, I mean, they're short weeks. Unfortunately, but it's a lot of golf in a row, and it's really high pressure golf. And so I worry with him next week, where he has not had, I think, top 40. I don't think he's ever finished inside the top 40 at the Wyndham. Maybe he's played it twice. Look, he certainly has the game for it, but he has to step up now, and that's not an easy place to be in when you've been struggling with your game.
3 trips to the Wyndham, although one of them was 2009. He was an amateur.
Yeah, he was. That's when he had I think it was his first PGA Tour event.
All right. He made the cut, finished T78. He weighed about 110 pounds, I think, soaking wet that week. And then
they had the baggy clothes back then.
Yeah. Yeah. And then 2015, he finished T56. 2016, he missed the cut. So the other thing is, and I know we spent a lot of time talking about Justin Thomas in the last couple of weeks, but it would be unbelievably rare for a golfer of his caliber to go an entire season seemingly healthy. We haven't, heard whatever and miss the playoffs. So it is kind of a big deal. The fact that he hasn't even played this event since 2016 and having to add it to your schedule, there's a reason he hasn't played it. He hasn't needed to. And also maybe he doesn't think it fits his game. There's just, it's a tough watch right now.
Every year, at least since 2015, his mindset has been on winning the FedEx Cup. Yeah. Right. I mean, it's trying to get yourself ready to perform really well in the playoffs, and playing the Wyndham is not what's on your mind if you're secure in the playoffs, right? You use that week for a little bit of rest. So this is it's definitely a unique case. But the other thing, Rick, about him not getting in is, and a player of his caliber not getting in, is let's say he finishes 80th in the FedEx Cup. I mean, that's very safe for the playoffs every other year that we've ever had playoffs. So they cut it from 125 to 70 this year, and that gets really tight. So there are a lot of good players. Justin Thomas's struggles have been well noted, and a lot of that has to do with the Ryder Cup as well. But he would, in previous years, he probably wouldn't have to play the Wyndham. He probably wouldn't have been here this week. So it's a unique year, and I think this is going to be a story in the future with only 70 spots in that first playoff event, where you're going to see some guys who play pretty well who end up on the bubble.
Cam Young will also not be around for the weekend. It was a slow start on Thursday, 71, got off to a red hot start on Friday. And Greg, I was like, oh, okay, he's going to be back into it. He's going to go on a run. He's going to maybe mix it up. I mean, he was 4 under when he made the turn. He was 5 under through 11, well within the cut line. And then he yanks one left on 3 into the water, makes double there, makes another bogey on 8, and it's sayonara. See you down the road.
Yeah, really disappointing stuff for Cam Young, because it was looking so good. Not only to make the cut, but getting contention. I don't think at the time he was 5 under. I don't think anybody was in double digits yet. if I remember correctly. So I think he was within like 3 shots of the lead.
Right.
And all of a sudden he's packing his bags, going home. So very, very disappointing for Cam Young, whose play has been a little bit better of late. But this kind of looked like an opportunity for him perhaps to check that box of the first win on the PGA Tour. And boy, did it end abruptly.
It did. Hideki Matsuyama is that lurker that I was referring to in the A block here. A phenomenal 64 on Thursday, where he had the best tee to green round of his career. And as of right now, he's still out on the golf course. He's playing the 14th hole on the course, his 14th hole as well. He's 2 under. So he will seemingly, Greg, kind of be jockeying for position here at the end of round 2, hopefully putting himself in the spot to get a late tee time on Saturday afternoon and contend for a 3M Open title.
Did you know yesterday he did not hit it outside of 30 feet?
I heard so I don't remember. I heard them say something like that this morning about what his average proximity was, and then also I think his average proximity like 13 feet yesterday.
13 feet, 10 inches.
Which his average proximity on tour is like 30 feet, which is like one of the best.
Right. Very good. Very good.
So to be way inside of that, and I did not know that he did not hit a single one outside of 30 feet. That's wild.
Yeah. I was looking at his at the chart because you're watching him play, and they're coming down all over the flagstick. The farthest one was from 218 yards on number 13, par 3. He hit it to 29 feet, 5 inches. Everything else is inside of that.
Certainly gaining to the field. 213 yards to 29 feet.
Yeah, it was absolutely unreal. So I could not believe that. And of course, today you're not replicating that.
No.
Although
he might never do that again.
No, I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen that. I mean, 30 feet's it's like if you hit it to 30 feet on the golf course, you're thinking, okay, this is, it's a look. It's a look.
It's not unreasonable, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're more likely not to hit one inside of 30 feet all day.
Yes.
It's close.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. And so today, obviously, it's not the same, but still quite good. He did hit it really close. Hit it in there to 5 feet, 4 feet 7 inches at number 5. Unfortunately, missed it. So it was a little bit of a slow start today. He made 9 pars in a row on his first 9 holes, but all of a sudden a birdie at 10, a birdie at 12, and he is in the fairway. I think he actually hit it into the bunker.
Yeah, he just fanned it into this guy stinks. He just fanned it into the right greenside bunker.
Yeah. Now there is water all the way up the left side on this hole. So maybe he's not sure about his swing right now.
Yeah, he's a little troublesome.
But he's doing Hideki things today. You saw kind of disappointed finishes and follow throughs, and it comes down like 12 feet away.
He's the best.
Unreal. So, hey, I'm rooting for him. Maybe I mentioned it with Lee Hodges being able to really create some separation. Yeah. And I mentioned Hideki at the Masters. Maybe Hideki can do what Hideki does.
Hopefully he was just on his phone for the last 2 hours. We'll get to those betting odds in a second, but let me give you a little bit of an update here. So Lee Hodges did make a birdie on 9. So he has taken the solo lead. He'll make the turn, 3 under for the day, 11 under for the championship, which gives him a 1-shot lead over the guys in the clubhouse of Kevin Streelman and JT Poston. That's the update there. Hideki, we'll see what he ends up doing, but Hideki out on the golf course, Tyler Duncan out on the golf course at 9 under par. Josh, are we ready? Are we ready for the odds? If we are, that's great. If not, Greg and I can vamp. Greg's a radio guy. He knows how to vamp. Greg, what are you looking forward to on Saturday?
Oh, well, Rick, as we continue to vamp, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this little bit plays out here this afternoon. Because I think this leaderboard could really change. and it could make a big difference. So I do think it's an important time to look at the odds board, because there may be a little bit of an advantage somewhere here.
Well, from your lips to Josh's ears, and there's the odds board. Lee Hodges, out on the golf course, ever changing, is the favorite, 4-1. Hideki Matsuyama, 5-1. Tony Finau, 6-1. JT Poston, 9-1. Everybody else longer than that. You can find some Vincent Norman action at 28-1. You can find Kevin Streelman at 16-1. I do agree with you, Greg. This next couple of hours is going to be pretty critical, and even I think these odds are probably going to be very different even as once the second round actually comes to an end.
So this brings up the question to me, because I think Lee Hodges is going to make a birdie at 10. And I think he's going to make a number of birdies coming in. So I would not be surprised if he ends up at, 13 or 14 under.
I agree.
So the question is, if you're like me and the guys that you're looking at are named JT Poston and Emiliano Grillo, do you wait? Let him kind of separate a little bit. Will that improve? Will you get a better number as Lee Hodges extends?
Yeah. So like if you were really sick, what you could do right now, is get Lee Hodges at 4-1. And then at the end of the round or tomorrow morning, go get Emiliano Grillo at 16-1 or whatever that's going to be, right? I mean, because I agree. If Lee Hodges is leading this tournament by 3 or 4 shots heading into the weekend, everybody's going to have to shift down.
Right. I would think. So, I mean, I may go with Hideki if I was going to make that play and make a move right now. I may go to Hideki at 5.
Josh is telling us they're already moving. Hideki is already at 6.5-1.
Oh, it's gonna be wild.
Lee Hodges has a birdie putt on 10.
Oh, where did he hit it on 10? That was a really gettable hole.
It wasn't super close, but he hit it to
30 feet.
30 feet. That's that makeable. That's that
It's a good shot, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Terrible for Hideki yesterday.
Yeah, terrible. Worst shot of the day. All right. Well, listen, we'll see how this plays out. A couple hours of golf still to be played on Friday night, and then we'll obviously make the cut and head to the weekend in Blaine and sprint to the finish line here, Greg. It should be a blast.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So we'll see how this plays out, and we'll talk about it some more tomorrow night.
Big thanks, producer Josh, does all the hard work behind the scenes. Greg DuCharme available on Twitter at The Real GFD, and you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.